Hi, hello everybody. We're gonna have probably an abbreviated show tonight or today. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, for goodness sake. Hell, it's almost still morning in California where Wayne is. We're probably gonna have an abbreviated show with the big game today. Elliot, thoughts go out to him. He's actually back in the hospital again, so he won't be joining us. Ken is dragging his butt. He'll be here shortly. But we got Wayne and we got our good friend Derek Laughlin to join us to preview the game today. And before we get into that, fellas, I want your opinions on the Pro Football Hall of Fame inductees. There are only 4 of them this year. Okay. I mean, if you look at the videos where they're told, the one that got me the most was Sterling Sharpe, actually. Sterling Sharpe. Because his brother was there in his basement and he went down and he had no idea what was going on. And then his brother told him, he's like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me." You know, it was a really good moment. You know, and why can't I remember everybody's names anymore? My mind is going totally
Antonio Gates.
Antonio Gates was really good because LT was there. And I mean, I was really glad to see Gates get in. He's been one of the best tight ends in NFL history, as far as I'm concerned. His longevity was with the Chargers and everything. And there's Mr. Ken Costello, who he's not at home. He's somewhere else. Are you in the library?
I'm at the library. Yes.
Okay.
I'm at the library.
But yeah, we're talking about Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame inductees, Ken. Sterling Sharpe, I was very glad to see get in. I know Derek is too. Probably one of his favorite players.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. My first year watching football was 1989, and that was that 10-6 Mikowski season, and Sterling Sharpe was the big player on offense. So my first year watching football was just watching Sterling Sharpe dominate the league.
You know, his story is similar to Terrell Davis, where his playing career was cut short due to injury. I mean, that neck injury was no joke that he suffered.
Yeah.
I mean, I've felt for years that he should have been in. I mean, his brother's been lobbying for him for most of the time he's not been out of football.
They were the first set of brothers who were in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, first set of brothers in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
And then Antonio Gates, Ken, I tell you, one of the greatest Chargers of all. I mean, he played basketball just like what's his face from Kansas City played basketball in high school and college.
Tony Gonzalez.
Yep, you're older than me, and your mind is more sharp than mine is. Wayne, sorry about that.
Or don't forget Julius Peppers at Carolina. He played basketball as well.
Yes, he did. Mm-hmm. That's a Carolina thing, of course. Of course, it's
Carolina reference.
Yeah. But your Red Wings didn't do so good yesterday, did they, Ken? Wayne.
Yeah, Tampa Bay got them. But hey, we're in second place in the wild card right now. So we winning 7 out of 8. I got no complaints.
Hey, when they got the new coach, man, they just all of a sudden they started playing really good hockey. So, Ken, you gonna live today, man? Or you're coughing a lot over there?
I'm dying. I'm dying right now. I'll be dead by the time the show's over.
Okay. All right. And then the other two, what's the player? Jared Allen.
Eric
Reed.
Jared Allen
and Jared Allen, right?
Yep.
No relation.
Yeah.
Eric Allen, not Eric Rest, Eric Reed. It's Eric Allen and Jared Allen. Yes. Jared Allen was a monster on team. I mean, Derek can tell you from being a fan of Green Bay, he knows Jared Allen was a friggin' wrecking ball on the field.
Mm-hmm. He's one of those guys that there's certain players that play on your rival where you just respect them and you wish they were on your team. Brian Urlacher was always like that. Tina Tillman was like that. Jared Allen. I mean, just guys that play the game the right way and they'd be your favorite player if they were on your team. And that's how I always felt about Jared Allen.
And he bets he rides a horse on the stage for his induction.
Anything's possible with that guy.
All right. And Eric Allen, one of the greatest defensive backs of all time as well, in my opinion. He had his greatest years with Philadelphia, didn't he?
Yes.
Thought so. Yeah.
He was on that defense with Reggie White and Jerome Brown. The last one that was number 1 against the run and against the pass and in yards overall.
Was that the Randall Cunningham years?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Anyway,
Yeah,
good to see these
I
guys
got
make it.
one-
What did you think about Eli Manning not getting in?
I was going to ask that too. Do you guys think Eli got snubbed?
No.
Nah, no.
Yeah,
I
Eli's not a
will
first.
say this. I will say this. Tom Brady has 7 Super Bowl rings, and if it were not for Eli Manning, he'd have 9.
It's true.
Yep.
That's
So
true.
He'll get in next year.
Eli's got that going for him. He's
Yeah, but he's not a
2-0
first ballot.
against
He's
the-
not a first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm
No, he's
sorry.
not first ballot.
He's
He'll
not a
get
first ballot.
in.
He'll get in
be
probably
in the
next
2
year.
or 3 years. Yeah.
I
My
personally don't
question
think he
is-
should get in.
Well, he was a
I feel the same
mediocre
way.
regular season quarterback, wasn't he, Derek?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that right?
I feel the same way, Derek, but he's going to get in.
He's going to get in.
Yeah.
Yep, he's going to get in, but I don't think he should. The only 2 years he won playoff games were those 2 Super Bowl runs. And if you look in his 30s, I mean, they didn't do anything after he turned 30 years old in the back half of his career. He never led the league in any statistical area other than interceptions, which I think he did 3 times. And I think he only made 4 Pro Bowls. I mean, he had 2 really good Super Bowl runs that were keyed by really good Giant defensive lines that frustrated those Patriots offense. And he played well in those Super Bowls. They would not have won it without him. I'm not taking anything away from him in the Super Bowls, but I just think the Hall of Fame's about a career, not 2 postseason runs.
And I think he's I think he's a mediocre regular season quarterback at best, in my opinion.
He was 500 with wins and losses, and they were like I said, after 2011, they were terrible. There's a lot of 6-10 seasons in there for a guy that's a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. He
let's look at
shouldn't be
this
there, but he
way.
will be.
Let's
He
look at it
shouldn't,
this
but he
way.
will be. It may take a couple of years.
If Joe Namath doesn't beat the Colts in Super Bowl III, is he in the Hall of Fame?
No, he's not.
No, he's not.
No.
And I don't think he should be in there either. That was the only year he won a playoff game. Was that 1 year?
That's it. That's the
And
only one.
and that year was the
So
year
I-
where his knee. I mean,
I-
he already had bad knees coming into the NFL to begin with. But that
Right.
year that he
Right.
beat the Colts, I mean, that's when he got beat it around the bone most. And
you
his
look at
knees
his
took a lot of
career,
damage
his
during that
career
season too.
stats. His career stats, he threw more interceptions than he did touchdown passes.
Yeah.
And
The one argument.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
I was going to say he had the most pick sixes ever given up too. So, or at least he did at one time. I mean, he may not anymore, but go ahead, Derek.
Derek, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say the one thing I think that you could put him in the Hall of Fame for is he kind of like Terrell Davis and Sterling Sharp, where if he hadn't had all those knee injuries, he would have had the longevity and he would have had the better career. Because everybody talks about him having some of the best arm talent they ever saw coming out of
there's no
college.
question about that.
Yeah,
he had a bazooka for an arm. I mean, it was a Laws rocket. So I mean, mortar fire. Okay, I'm about to go on a short little rant.
I'm ready.
What the hell does it take to get Darren Woodson in the Hall of Fame? 17 years he's been trying.
yeah.
I
One of
agree
the
with
greatest. He is the all-time leading tackler in Cowboys history. Not Bob Lilly, not Leroy Jordan, not anybody else. Darren Woodson. Darren Woodson should have been in the Hall of Fame 10 years ago.
Well, wasn't he a Super Bowl MVP?
No,
No.
Okay.
That was
Larry.
one, but
that was Larry
but
Brown.
Larry Brown. Okay, I'm sorry.
But he had a sterling NFL career, and why? I don't know why I don't know if it's something against Jerry Jones. I don't know what it is, but Darren Woodson needs to be in the Hall
Well,
of
it
Fame.
can't be against Jerry Jones because Jerry Jones is in the Hall of Fame too.
I know exactly.
So it can't
What
be
is
against Jerry
going on
Jones.
with these voters?
Well,
I'm certain there are people who didn't even have.
Well,
him
there's
on the
been
ballot.
complaints about who the voters are throughout the week after these guys got in.
Yeah.
And
It's
evidently, I mean, I don't think any players are involved. There's no media people involved in it. Nobody from NFL Network gets a vote. Okay, and they follow the game 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of guys in the NFL from the NFL Network that are smarter than a lot of the head coaches in this league, for goodness sake. Okay.
I'll go along with that.
So I don't know what the criteria is where you have to be a voter. I know Tom Pelissero was really complaining about the fact nobody from NFL Network has a vote in the Hall of Fame, and he was really upset about it. And Tom Pelissero is one of the best reporters out there. He's one of the insiders on NFL Network.
NFL Network should have somebody on the voting committee, and so should NFL Films.
Yes, NFL Films. Come on, of course.
NFL Films should be above NFL Network, in my opinion.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, there's a couple teams that I feel like that this has happened to: the '60s Packers, the '70s Raiders, and then these Cowboys teams, where there's so many Hall of Famers that get in that then they almost are like, well, should we put another one in from these teams? I think that's what kept Jerry Kramer out for a number of years, and he never should have had to wait as long as he did. Kenny Stabler,
did he just pass away, or is he still alive?
He's still alive, as far as I know.
Okay.
He's still alive.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then in all honesty, I mean, Jerry Kramer had an incredible career, but in all honesty, his injuries also kept him from having some of his better years. Yeah.
Of all the '60s Packers that are in the Hall of Fame, there was only one player that was in the starting lineup on the NFL's 50th anniversary team, Jerry Kramer. He was the starting guard. And he was the only one from that team that wasn't in the Hall of Fame. And it took him like 30, 40 years after everybody else got in for him to get in.
The only reason they kept Paul Hornung out for as long as he did was the '63 suspension.
Was the gambling.
Yeah.
And Alex Karras took even longer than that. I mean,
Brett's in the house, guys. He says the committee consists of one media representative from each pro football city with 2 from New York. And as much as that city has 2 teams in the NFL, a 33rd member is a representative of the Pro Bowl Writers of America, and there are up to 17 at-large delegates. So basically, it's all media, local media.
Yeah, our local media, they voted for him. I don't know who else.
So 33 votes come from local medias.
Yeah.
That they don't cover a certain team, how are they going to know whether or not guys are unworthy of the Hall of Fame? If you don't have national media people in that,
you played against him.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe
it's a whole lot different than the baseball and the basketball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Well, and how did they only get 4 in this time? I mean, there were so many deserving candidates. Why don't they have 7 in like they normally do?
This is the smallest groups in 2015.
I guess
2005.
I guess those 4 were the only ones that got enough votes to get in, kind of like the baseball writers, and when they put those guys in.
That's
so
crazy.
Maybe the other guys. I mean, because there were plenty of players that are worthy, if not first ballot, then down the line, most definitely. In this class. So it just maybe they didn't get enough votes.
What is the criteria? Because I know in baseball, you got to get 75% of the vote.
Right.
And from what I understand in football, they're all in a room and you stand up on a table, I'm exaggerating.
And plead your case for the guy you want in. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You lobby for the guy you want in. And that's basically it. Where in baseball, it's different.
I think it's 80%, and I've heard that story about how basically like a voter will be in charge of presenting a player to the rest of the panel.
Yes.
And so some of them are very short. I know Brett Favre's lasted 6 seconds. The guy basically said, "I'm here to introduce Brett Favre for Hall of Fame consideration," and he just sat back down. And then there's others where there's like a 30 or 40 minute debate on whether they should be in. I mean, the closer they are to being borderline Hall of Famers. There's some very spirited debates on those. And there is a fine line. You don't want to just let good players into the Hall of Fame. It's supposed to be the very best players in the history of the league, not the Hall of the very good. It's the Hall of Fame. And there's guys that you'll hear fans talk about that are Hall of Famers, and you can tell they play fantasy football and they don't know anything about it.
Well, what they did to Bob Hayes and Drew Pearson was criminal.
I mean, Drew Pearson, come on. Are you kidding me? It took Drew Pearson 30 years to get into the freaking Hall of Fame. Are you kidding me?
That's ridiculous. I hated Drew Pearson. That's how good he was.
Right.
Well, Woodson's waited long enough. 17 years is absolutely.
He needs to get on next year's seniors ballot. He should get in. I'm saying to me, it's just ridiculous.
I don't know how Chris Carter and Art Monk had to wait that long. I mean, this is a problem that is across lots of franchises, lots of different positions. The quarterbacks seem to have a pretty easy time of getting in within the first couple ballots, but especially guards and then receivers are really hard because you get guys from the 80s and the 90s that don't have the numbers of today's players and didn't get in right away, and it just gets harder and harder to put them back in because they keep moving further and further down the rankings list.
Yeah, it's just a backlog. Complete and utter stupidity with the backlog that they have. So
which, again, why would they not put the full 7 in every season to try and make up for it and try to catch up to all these guys? You know, they had to put 4 in this year. Well, the Hall of Fame ceremony is going to last what, 2 hours now? I mean, it's going to be a really short ceremony.
Baseball only got 2 in this year.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, the baseball writers are more fickle than the damn NFL writers are.
Oh, that's true.
I don't want to talk about the baseball writers. How can you not vote Ichiro in and make him unanimous?
No kidding.
Well, that guy was an idiot. Whoever didn't vote for him.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're gonna put Junior in a unanimous, but you're not gonna put Ichiro. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, Babe Ruth wasn't unanimous way back in the day, so you got some of these old school voters that they will not cast a vote on the first time because they want to make sure that nobody else gets 100%. Didn't Mariano Rivera get 100%? I think he was the first one.
Yeah. So Griffey didn't either. I thought Junior got
100%. No. One person didn't vote for Ken Griffey Jr. One person.
That's probably the same person who didn't vote for Ichiro.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah, wouldn't doubt it.
I know Jeter got 100%, didn't he?
Yeah, no,
Jeter didn't get 100%.
I think Rivera is the only one.
Rivera is the only player in baseball history to get unanimously voted into the Hall of Fame. So maybe that guy that didn't vote for Ichiro and Junior is a New York writer. You never know. Come on. So, and that's why he put Mariana in there.
Speaking of Hall of Famers, I was very glad to see Randy Moss back in the booth today.
Yes, we were talking about that when the show opened. That Randy Moss is back on TV today for the first time since his he's got an issue with his eyes. I'm not exactly sure, 100% sure what it is, but it must be I think it's a degenerative eye disease. But yeah, he was back on behind the desk today at NFL Countdown on ESPN. It was really good to see him. Elliot's in the chat too, guys. He's chatting from the hospital. Good to see that he's paying attention.
Yeah.
The big news this week outside of the Hall of Fame would be the Myles Garrett situation.
Oh, we got breaking news.
Cleveland, man, good grief. What did Ward say? He said if Myles goes, I don't think I want to be here.
Yeah. And then Njoku came out yesterday saying, I'll talk to him, see if I can't get him to stay. But Myles is doing a media tour, going from media to media, talking about how he wants to play for a contender and that he can't see it happening in Cleveland anytime soon before he sets to retire. That's true. The way things are going in Cleveland, ownership and management aren't going to get it done. But he has now become the bad guy in Cleveland because he continues on this media tour, trash talking the ownership.
Yeah, well, that's the best way to get out. Look what Jimmy Butler did in the NBA.
Yeah, no good.
How about that trade to Jimmy Butler going to Golden State?
Golden State tends to attract those kind of players. I think Draymond Green is pretty much an epitome of that.
Well, if the Browns do trend, and then still Barry's come out saying we're not going to take any offers for him. It's not going to happen. Browns have too much dead cap space right now going into next season. And you know what? Myles is going to be an icon in Cleveland long after I'm gone.
Oh, sure.
And the Browns need to figure out a way to make him happy, whether it's trading him to a team that's going to be a contender or making him the highest paid defensive player in the history of the NFL. He said it's not about money, but obviously they've not given him anything for him to believe that they're going to that the franchise is headed in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
They got to find a quarterback. I mean, you got Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers out there, and you got Daniel Jones out there as well. That they're talking about bringing into Cleveland. Frankly, I'd take Kirk Cousins over Aaron Rodgers any day at this point. The way Aaron played last year. Sorry, Derek.
What games were you watching?
Ugh.
Aaron Rodgers had 28 touchdowns and 12 picks and played well at the end of the season. Kirk Cousins didn't play anywhere near as well as Aaron Rodgers did last year.
And yet the Jets have said, sorry, it didn't work out.
Goodbye to Aaron Rodgers. They're moving on. Either one, I guess, would be all right, but I just don't want the headaches that come with having Aaron Rodgers on the roster.
That's the problem with Aaron Rodgers. It's not the football talent. It's the circus that comes along with him.
It's the circus, and he being or wanting to be a facto GM and get players to come in there with him that he played with in Green Bay.
Yep, I might root for the Browns if they signed Rodgers because all the former Packers would be there too. So.
Yeah, but you'd still be hard on him, Derek. You'd still bash him. Brett wants to know: do I blame Garrett that he wants the coaches to listen to players if the front office and coaches can't get on the same page as the player? Then buy Garrett. To be honest with you, I don't think it's the coaches, Brett. I think it is the front office. John DiPodesta, Barry, Jimmy Haslam. I think it's the front office guys that are not showing him that they are determined to get better. Kevin Stefanski and his staff are playing for their jobs next season, because if they can't get it done next season, they're going to throw it all away and rebuild it one more time. Frankly, I'd like to see Haslam sell the team, but I know he's not going to do that. But it is what it is. I mean, I wish the Cavs owner could buy the Browns. That'd be freaking great. He's one of the best. He's one of the best owners in the NBA. It's it is what it is. I only wish Miles the best. I'm not gonna treat him like a bad guy because I like him too much. After all, I've got his jersey hanging on my wall over here. So he's it's once again, Cleveland proves how much of a mess of a franchise they actually are. So,
I was going to say, I don't know if anybody knows this or not, but the 49ers have given Deebo Samuels the opportunity to try to find a trade partner.
Yep. He won't find one.
No, he won't. Not with that contract.
No.
No. Not with that attitude either.
Nope.
And I actually think the Browns should trade Myles Garrett because he's 29 years old. By the time they get everything resituated from this Watson contract, he's going to be past his prime. They could probably get a number of draft picks for him.
They get two. I think they're saying they get at least 2 number 1 draft picks out of it.
Right, and they need to rebuild. I mean, they missed their window. They had a window when Baker Mayfield had the good year and they beat the Steelers in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They didn't build on that. And then they brought in Watson and were able to kind of piece it together with Flacco at the end of the year. And that was just kind of putting Band-Aid on a bad situation. And it all bottomed out this year. They need to start over. I don't understand building around a 29-year-old defensive lineman at this point that doesn't want to be there and rightfully doesn't want to be there. He's put in the work. He's got a Hall of Fame career going and he wants to win. And the front office hasn't.
Well, he said the road. He doesn't care about the road from Cleveland to Canton. He cares about championships.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about the Hall of Fame at this point. He wants to try and get a championship under his belt. And I can't blame him, especially being in Cleveland for his entire career and never amounting to much of anything. He's getting the Joe Thomas treatment, if you will.
Yep.
I was just thinking that. Yep.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Again, Cleveland's a mess of a franchise, and I really just
Frankly, I mean, as much as I would love to see him here in Dallas,
Dallas can't afford him.
They've been recruiting hard in San Francisco. I can tell you that.
Well, the offensive lineman on NFL Network was from the Buffalo Bills. What's his one of the big name offensive linemen from the Bills was trying to get him to come to Buffalo.
Yeah, a lot of teams are trying to get him to come to Buffalo.
I think he ends up in Washington if he goes someplace. I think Washington's a likely landing spot.
I want him to go to an NFC team. I do not want him in the AFC.
Washington's going to be all in on getting to the Super Bowl, and Jaden Daniels on a rookie contract. They're the ones that can go and and make sure that the cap hit isn't too hard on Cleveland and can give them draft picks. So I would be surprised if Washington doesn't make a strong run for him. Don't know if they'll get him, but
yeah, as long and especially don't go to Pittsburgh, don't go to Baltimore, and for God's sake, don't go to Cincinnati. So stay out of the division, and I don't think the Browns would trade within the division anyway. So
no,
I think,
and they shouldn't
because they don't want Myles Garrett beating up on them twice this season either.
Right.
Well, I think another big reason why Washington should be probably a front runner is Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn's a defensive coach, and he would fit right in with the Washington scheme. So I'd hate to have to face him twice a year, but if he goes to Washington, we will.
I have a question for the panel. What is the worst contract between these two? I mean, there's probably tons of worse contracts out there, but between Jamarcus Russell and Deshaun Watson, which one was the worst?
Deshaun Watson.
Well, I knew you were going to answer that way.
It's Deshaun Watson. Jamarcus Russell was bad because he didn't study, he didn't look at playbooks, he didn't look at film, he didn't do a damn thing. He was just plain lazy.
He was overweight.
He was overweight and just didn't give a shit. All he cared about was the money he was making. Deshaun Watson, it was an obvious try by the ownership to bring this guy in, even after all the bad press he was getting about his situation in Houston, and that was just a mistake. This is just a move they should never have made in the first place. They had all the signs in front of them, Wayne, as to how bad this is going to be. Okay, with the press, you're going to guarantee him $230 million, the whole contract. Get the hell out of here! What are you doing?
That was the trade wasn't the problem. The contract was the problem. Because they basically went into it like, oh, this is going to work out. Nothing's going to go wrong. We're going to be fine. And they had no escape strategy at all if it didn't work out. And then they doubled down on it because once you get a player like that, I used to call Kirk Cousins the payday loan. Because of the way they set up his contract, you got to refinance the payday loan. And Watson's contract is 100 times worse than Cousins was because Cousins was a 2 or 3 year deal.
Well, he just kept getting the franchise tag, and that number kept going up and up and up every year he went on the franchise tag.
Yep, and then he signed a fully guaranteed contract with Minnesota, but that was a 3-year contract instead of a 5. And then Minnesota had to keep going and re-sign him to a 2-year extension and push money down the road. And then they finally just, after last year, said, we've had enough of it and got out of it. But that's the difference. The way Minnesota set up that contract, it was a bad contract, but it was set up in a way they were eventually able to get out of it. Cleveland went worse because of how many years they put on it. They can't get out of it.
Yeah, at least Minnesota had a back door.
Yeah. Elliot, going back to my comment about what Buffalo Bill, was Dawkins that was trying to get Miles to Buffalo. Dawkins. Yeah. And Brett wants to know where we see Cooper Kupp going.
I think he stays in L.A., but not in the Rams.
No, okay. You say he goes to the Chargers. Okay.
Nice.
See how he slipped that in there, guys?
That was well played.
Say, wait a minute. No, the Rams said they're going to trade him. They want to trade him as soon as possible. Yeah, I guess so.
Hey, Ken.
Yes.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Much so.
Did Kirk Cousins hold the NFL record for most times franchise tagged?
If not, he's close.
Drew Brees got franchised a number of times too.
Oh yeah, he never left New Orleans.
Get franchised as well. Wasn't Haynesworth franchised a lot? I'm not sure.
I don't remember. Being facetious.
I mean, Kirk Cousins is getting paid really well to play bad football, guys. He really is.
No, yeah.
He'll fit in Cleveland.
There you go. Well played, Derek. Thank you very much.
You're getting slow, Derek. It took you 29 minutes to make a reference.
God. All right. Let's get to the elephant in the room. What do you think about tonight's game? That anybody cares? I know Derek is excited, but I don't think the three of us are. But go ahead, Derek. What are you thinking about tonight?
I think that when I look at this game, I think it's the same game as San Francisco and Kansas City last year. And the reason I say that is I think San Francisco had the better roster from top to bottom, but They had the advantage at head coach. They had the advantage at quarterback, and they had the advantage at defensive coordinator. And what they did in that game was they said, we're going to make Purdy beat us, and he had to throw the ball 38 times, and they held McCaffrey to, I think, 22 carries for 80 yards.
80 yards, yeah, 80 yards. That's what it was.
Now, he had 80 yards receiving in the game, so yards from scrimmage, he had a really nice game at 160. But they did not let San Francisco establish the run, and they made Purdy beat them with the pass, and that's one reason why they were able to sneak out a victory in that game. When I look at this game, the whole key to me is, can Barkley get 100 yards rushing, and can he do it with Jalen Hurts throwing the ball 30 times or less? If that happens, Philadelphia wins this game. If they try to match points with Kansas City, have Hurts throw the ball 35, 40 times and forget about establishing Barkley, that's where they're going to get themselves into problems. And that's where everybody gets themselves into problems against the Chiefs. They think they're playing the Chiefs from 5 years ago where they were the number one scoring team, and you got to match points with Mahomes, and that's not who this team is. They don't score points very often. So,
they haven't scored. They scored the first time they scored over 30 points was the AFC Championship game. That was the first time all season long they scored more than 30 points.
They had a couple of 30 points, but right at 30 points, I think.
Yeah. And also Steve Spagnuolo and his defense have an 18-game streak not allowing a running back over 100 yards.
That's about to come to
In fact, McCaffrey was the most at 80 yards. That's the most they've allowed.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's about to come to an end.
So Saquon, that defense has just been dominant at the run game. They're making forcing the quarterback to win the game for them. And so, but then you've got two great wideouts with Philadelphia, and AJ Brown and what's his face, Devontae Smith on the other side. So. And they got a pretty decent tight end too on that team. So,
if Saquon gets 150 yards and Jalen Hurts gets 200 to 250 yards, the Eagles will win fairly handily.
One thing I know for sure,
close, actually, but
one thing I know for sure, if it's a one-score game in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, look out. That's where Kansas City excels.
Right.
Okay.
They remind me so much of the 49ers doing that, because the 49ers in the 1980s.
The 80s, yeah. Back when with Montana and Rice.
That game, that second game with Cincinnati was, you could see the handwriting was on the wall.
They had 2 minutes. They had 2:55 to travel the length of the field.
Yep.
And they just methodically picked Cincinnati's defense apart all the way down. And that winning score to John Taylor in the end zone was just
They triple cover.
Plus, not to mention John Candy was in the stands too. So
I was just going to say that my favorite part of that game was the John Candy part of it, where Montana looked up and told one of his teammates, "Isn't that John Candy?" They're like, "Have you watched this movie? He's so funny."
But I think the Eagles have the better squad, better roster. They have the better team overall. But if they're going to win this game, they got to be up by at least 2 scores in the fourth quarter. That's the only way that and they got the number one defense in the NFL. They got the best offensive line in the NFL. So let's it's the best offense against one of the best defenses. Let's rock and roll. And let's see what happens. That
was going to be my take. That was going to be my take. The offensive line for Philadelphia is far superior than, I think, Kansas City's front four. And they got the blueprint 2 weeks ago from Buffalo until Buffalo decided not to use the blueprint in the second half, and those stupid ass quarterback sneaks instead of giving the ball to James Cook.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the offensive line for Philadelphia will be, in my opinion, the key to this game to open up the holes for Saquon. Which, if Jalen Hurts throws for 200 yards, 150 to 200 yards, but Saquon has 150 or so. Oh yeah, this is going to be a double-digit win.
Yeah, and what's amazing is that offensive line's done it without Jason Kelce.
Yep,
that's right.
Yeah.
I think that's
what all those people. Yeah,
I'm kind of hoping that's what Sirianni has done. Is he took the video from the Super Bowl 2 years ago and say, all right, let's look and see what we didn't do so well, and we're going to make up for that. And because they could have easily won that game 2 years ago. Should have.
Oh yeah.
And, I think it's been in the back of their minds. It's lived rent free for 2 years now, and I think it's
well,
time.
Jalen Hurts' screen grab on his phone was him walking through the confetti after they lost the Super Bowl.
Right.
And to this day, it's still his screen.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah. So
I'm glad.
You know, I mean, yeah, I think it's going to be a good game, but I'm just hoping Philadelphia can get ahead by 2 scores in the fourth quarter in order to put some breathing room between them and that offense. Because that dink and doink offense that Casey's been playing this year, it's all about Travis Kelce. All about Travis Kelce. And ain't nobody in the league can cover him because he finds the open spots in every freaking defense he goes against. Doesn't matter what you try, what you do. He's going to find an open spot in the zone, or he's going to beat his man one-on-one, and he's going to be wide open every time.
I think there's a real possibility he may try that once too many times, and somebody in the Eagles' middle.
Someone's going to cold clock him. He's going to be out.
Clobber him. And that'll be the end of Travis.
And there'll be tears down. There'll be tears down Taylor Swift's cheek the whole when it happens. So.
Won't be getting any tonight.
No. Elliott's picking the Eagles 30-20.
I got them 27-24.
I got the Chiefs 27-21.
I'll stick to what I said last week. Eagles 30, Kansas City 24, referees 8.
I got the Eagles 30-24. There, I said it. I hate Phillies fans. I hate the Chiefs. I really could care less. Like I said, I want Ken was looking for a meteor strike on the Superdome, but that's not going to happen. So, anyway, enjoy the game tonight, guys. Ken, just a side note, I've got wings in the oven. It's the same recipe Rhonda used every year for her Super Bowl Sunday.
Wow.
I was the originator of the recipe, but she took it and she modified it over the years, and she made it every single year for the Super Bowl. I stopped doing it because it was just me, okay? Whereas she's cooking for Army at her place because she always holds Super Bowl parties. But yeah, I'm having those wings tonight there in the oven. They've been cooking for almost 2 hours. They get another half an hour or so to go. Slow cooked at 250 for 2.5 hours, and it will come out, fall off the bone, good and delicious. And I did that for Rhonda. Anyway,
here's to you, Rhonda.
Here's to you, Rhonda. We miss you.
Rhonda,
one of my dishes that I have going is we had it at my wife's cousin's place for a football game this year. You take bratwurst on the grill and then you slice them up into pieces and throw them into like a crock pot, and then you make a beer Dijon mustard sauce. And
it's a very Wisconsin dish, Derek.
Ooh,
yes. It smells so good down there. I can't wait to get into that.
That is a very Wisconsin dish, my friend.
I got summer sausage and cheese and crackers to cut up, and
you got cheese curds too.
No cheese curds.
Okay,
I don't have any cheese curds.
All right,
fellas, enjoy the game tonight.
Are
you cooking, Ken?
I had pizza from QT Quick Trip, so
okay.
That's my lunch from today, and tonight I'll probably have a tuna fish sandwich.
So you're making it simple, okay?
I'm making it simple.
Well, Wayne's having buffalo chicken dip, so and his wife is making
buffalo chicken dip. My wife, it is so. Excuse my French. It is so damn good. Yeah, chips. That can be lunch, dinner, and breakfast.
I usually try to do meatballs in like barbecue sauce and everything. But man, meatballs have gone sky high too. So
yeah, I mean, and Rhonda used to do Smokies too. I didn't do Smokies.
I've done that too.
She used to do barbecue Smokies. But anyway, guys, enjoy the game tonight. We'll see you next Sunday, Derek. If this is the last time we see you because there's no longer any football, we'll be talking hockey. You want to come on and talk about how bad the Blackhawks are? We can do that too.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk a long time about how bad they are.
What are those Wisconsin Badgers doing this year in hockey?
I don't follow much college hockey. I'm not sure how they're doing.
Doesn't matter. Michigan State beat Michigan last night like 7-1. So I'm happy. Again, sorry about that.
I'm watching the Beanpot final tomorrow. So
yeah.
I got a friend of mine that's coming from California in a couple of weeks, and he used to live in Chicago. And Michigan State and the Badgers happen to be playing up in Lansing the weekend he's here, so we're going to go up to the Michigan State Wisconsin game and watch that. So
Cool.
Well,
All right,
before
guys.
we leave, well,
Enjoy
before
the
we
food,
leave,
enjoy the game.
I want to say this before we leave.
All right.
Tar Heels won yesterday and Puke lost, so I'm happy.
Not only did Puke lost, but so did Auburn.
Auburn lost as well.
We got
But
1 and 2.
Auburn's
So
in the
you
SEC,
know that makes number 1? Alabama.
Shout out to ESPN for bringing back Dick Vitale last night.
Yes.
He called the Duke Clemson game, if I'm not mistaken. Was it Duke Clemson
Yeah.
or was it? Okay,
Yeah.
he called the
Yeah,
Duke
Duke
Clemson
Clemson.
game last night. It's the first time since 2021 he has been called a college basketball game. So Dickie V, keep going, guy. I mean, we miss him. And then of course Hubie Brown called his last NBA game as well. So he's done it. He's retiring as well. So
he's 91 years old, I think.
91
something.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of our idols or people that we grew up watching or listening to, they're gone. Anyway.
Yep. Dick Button's the last of Wide World of Sports.
Yep.
So.
Dick Button's. I still miss Chris Enberg. Dick Enberg. Excuse me.
Dick
I miss
Enberg.
Dick Enberg.
Oh, Dickenberg, yeah.
Yes.
I'd do anything to have Madden and Summerall call one more game.
Oh,
Yes,
I mean,
same here. Same
they
here.
were the soundtrack of my childhood.
Yes.
Learning-
The 80s and
learning
the 90s.
football.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
All I want to hear Pat
Never
Summerall
forget.
say is Lambeau Field.
I'll never forget the first Super Bowl they did. Man's going on a rant about something before the game, and he's sitting on Summerall's headset.
Elliot says we suck at the moment.
Roasted.
Elliot says we suck at the moment because he can't eat.
Oh, dear.
And as far as how long Andy Reid wants to is going to be coaching for, as long as he wants.
At least one more year, it looks like. At least one more year, he said.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Anyway, guys, enjoy the game and enjoy the food. We'll be back next Sunday at our normal time, 7:00 Eastern time. Hopefully, Elliot will be back with us, and we'll have a good show. On that note, we're out of here. Thanks for watching, everybody, and enjoy.